Let me guess. They want tax cuts. They want deregulation. They want more war. They want NATO. They want to kill immigrants. And if Kamala Harris doesn't secure all 5 of these at the same time, these undecideds will vote for the Republican Party.
Record low number of Americans say they are still undecided and on how they plan to vote in November. That as the clock is, of course, ticking for Kamala Harris and Donald Trump to try to win those voters over less than 50 days. CNN's senior data reporter Harry Enton is joining us now. How many are there? Because it's kind of hard.
Yeah, by the way, the argument that they're making now is not even like undocumented criminals are, doing crime. They're now saying documented migrants are doing crime. They're saying documented Haitian migrants are doing crime. When you look at the data for the likelihood of a documented migrant doing crime, it is so insanely fucking low. It's even lower than undocumented migrants, and the number for undocumented migrants is also very low. But for documented migrants, it's even lower. So now we're just like, now we are just straight up fucking lying at that point. Okay? But the goalpost has now officially firmly moved into, actually, we don't want legal immigrants in the country either. Okay? Like, it's no longer about undocumented immigrants. Now it is, well, I would say that it never really was about just undocumented immigrants. You'd be a fucking idiot if you think that that was the case. It always has and always will be white supremacy. Okay? It is always the idea that they're changing the genetic makeup of America. They're changing the demographics of America. Demographics are of destiny. They are doing white genocide. It always comes back to that age-old racist canard, the white supremacist rallying cry.
Hard to believe.
It's kind of hard to believe, but the bottom line is that 4% in the average of polls, 4% of voters say that they are undecided.
Do you feel like liberals are backtracking on immigration policies offers credence to this type of anti-immigrant rhetoric? Yes, I have been saying this for months, but I've also been saying this for years. But it's especially relevant in the last couple of months since Biden came out with a right-wing white nativist anti-immigrant bill.
That is just half the level that we saw in 2020, well less than the 10% we saw at this point in 2016. So the bottom line is, in this particular election, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are focusing their attention on this tiny, tiny sliver, much lower than we're used to. In fact, it's the lowest level of undecideds that we've seen in polling at this point this entire 21st century.
You know what? That is not surprising at all, that number is so low. But within the margin of error, all the polls that you've been looking at, that number is extremely significant.
Exactly. It can make all the difference in the world.
So what do these undecideds care about? What are their big issues?
What are their top?
Let me guess. They want tax cuts. They want deregulation. They want more war. They want NATO. They want to kill immigrants. And if Kamala Harris doesn't secure all 5 of these at the same time, these undecideds will vote for the Republican Party. Except they will vote for the Republican Party even after Kamala Harris makes a pledge to do all 5 of those things that they want. So let's see.
Top issues. Well, perhaps not surprisingly, 30% say the economy, inflation. That's number one. But number two, they actually don't have a top issue. 28% say there is no top issue, which perhaps isn't so surprising given that they're probably not as tuned into politics. They might care more about the characteristics of the candidates themselves rather than the issues that they represent. But I think that you get this.
I love that American media totally looks at like the absolute dumbest people in society and consistently props them up as like the only people that matter in the conversation. It's great. I think we are actively positioning people to be even dumber and dumber.
large chunk of undecideds, right, or the large chunk within the undecideds who say there's no top issue, that of course makes it difficult for the campaigns to go after him, because what exactly are you going to talk about to the folks who say, wait a minute, we don't have a top issue?
Right. That's a hard thing, but obviously the economy, that is the issue that seems to be
across
all. So there are a lot of people, we just sort of mentioned this, that don't really understand how anyone could be undecided at this point in the election cycle and with this particular election. So what's the deal? What's
the deal? Well, I think this might sort of get at it. 2024 is the most important election of my life. 72% of Trump backers say it is, 70% of Harris backers say it is, but just 24% of undecideds say it is. So the bottom line is they don't actually think there's that much on the line going on here, and that is, I think, part of the reason why they're willing to stay back and just say, you know what, I don't really necessarily like either of these folks. I don't think this is the most important election, so you know what, I'm going to continue to be undecided. Of course, there's just 4% of them, but that 4%...
Okay, I take it back. They're actually brilliant.
is going to make all the difference in the world come November.
They very well could. But if they're not paying attention, like you said, they might start paying attention as we get very, very, very close to the election.
Exactly. But at this point, they just don't really think 2024 is that important. So that's why they're not paying attention.
All right, Harry. And we know we think is important, but there's that. All right, Kate.
All right, joining us right now is Republican Congressman from Florida, Trump.
Remember, the average undecided in focus groups usually holds two views that counter each other easily. Yeah, exactly. They literally in the same breath will say, I love immigrants. I work with immigrants every day. They're wonderful and they help the economy. And then they'll be like, we have to deport every single one of them. And not a single one of them will ever turn around and be like, is this inherently contradicting? They will not. They will never question it. And because of the way that American society, American exceptionalism, and American individualism works, those unique snowflakes are truly brilliant, and you have to treat them as though they are truly brilliant and not like what you just said is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Ryan Ruth is that man, okay? Seemingly he made up his mind at the end, but if you look at his like political opinions over the course of many, many years, as we did, you will realize what it looks like in the mind of an average undecided swing voter. Okay? Make no mistake, I'm not saying like, oh, dude, you're like, I don't know if they're conflating undecided voters with unconvinced voters. Okay? I suspect that there's a little bit of that going on in a lot of these instances, because the idea of like undecided is basically like, I could vote for Trump or I could vote for Kamala. I'm undecided. When in fact, many people are not conflicted between the two, even though if you ask the New York Times, they only care about people who are conflicted between the two, which is very frustrating because most people aren't like that, okay? It's actually people that are deciding between voting or sitting on the couch. Yeah, Ryan Ruth was undecided between voting for Kamala Harris or shooting Donald Trump.
Campaign surrogate Byron Donalds. Congressman, it's good to see you. Thank you for coming in. Bouncing off the conversation that Harry and Sarah were just having, how undecided do you think the diminishing number of undecided voters really are this election at this point?
I believe there's somewhat.
I also have a firm commitment. I have a genuine belief that like every undecided voter is just a Republican voter. I believe that. Like, because if you look at a guy like Donald Trump and you're like, I'm undecided about, I want to go out and vote, but I don't know, let me hear out this Trump guy. Like, yeah, you're probably a Trump guy. Aren't you undecided? No, dude, what the fuck? I should probably say I'm undecided. Maybe then the New York Times will interview me so I can talk about Israel, and then they'll definitely not put that in the article. Huh. No, I'm not undecided. I'm riding in Biden, baby. I'm riding in motherfucking Biden. Dude, at this point, please, dude, if you were a former Trump voter and you're claiming to be undecided, what the fuck do you need to hear? How many former Trump voters who are still currently undecided exist? Get the fuck out of here, dude. No, they're voting for Donald Trump, but they're still like kind of embarrassed about it. Okay, that's it. Suck my dick. If you claim to be undecided between Kamala and Trump at this point, and you're a lifelong Republican voter and you voted for Trump twice, you're gonna fucking vote for Trump. Like, what are we doing? Of course you're gonna fucking vote for Trump. It's so transparent. It's so stupid. Not even last week you were saying, I don't know who I'm voting for, but I'll never vote for Trump or something similar. No, last week I was also saying I'm voting for Biden. I'm riding in Biden, baby. Also, I'm a political commentator. There's a lot of people who want to cast aside my commentary by simply saying, oh, he's a Harris supporter, or oh, he's a Trump supporter. That is the reason why I do not declare who I would be supporting in the election. It's because people want to say, oh, he's not going to vote for Kamala Harris, so don't listen to him. Everything he says, it's not about like who I'm voting for at all. It's actually entirely about how to make my commentary seem less relevant. So of course, make up your own goddamn minds, okay? Trump supporter, nah, people only want to know if you'll vote for Harris or not. Yeah, exactly. And for the record, I'm unconvinced. And not only that, but also, I'm riding in Biden. Step aside, liberals. You will not be able to convince me. What you did to Joseph Robinette Brandon was inexcusable. And I, as an AUKUS voter, me and Ryan Ruth are going to hold hands at the poll, and we're going to go cast a ballot. We're going to write in Biden.
Undecided. I think they're juggling through the realities of America. Number one, the economy, this massive inflation created by Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. The immigration problems in our country are real. They're looking at that. But then I also do believe they're having the...
For the record, I'm not on one team or another, okay? I'm on whoever advances and improves the material conditions of the working class, okay? That's whose side I'm on. And neither party is even remotely trying to make a convincing case that they are on the side of the working class. Neither party is doing that. So I will forever criticize both parties for not doing that. Okay?
Juggle with also a lot of the rhetoric that's out there in terms of where the country's going and who's going to protect the country. And I think if you look at the facts are very clear that Donald Trump addresses the issues that concerns Americans, the economy, our borders, and our foreign policy. And what Vice President Harris is talking about is not those issues.
There are people that literally
Less
say they
than
decided
2 months
the
until the
ballot box.
election, and we can hear the candidates' voices nearly every day. But what about voters? Since June, the NewsHour has followed a group of undecided voters from across the country and across the political spectrum.